Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you're feeling blessed. I'm just out here meditating, sipping on a big old cup of shrimp. Sipping on a big old cup of shrimp. Big old tall glass of shrimp. They said, what do you want? They said, what do you want to eat? I said, I don't want no food. I said, bring me a big old tall glass of shrimps. You see all those shrimps? You got 5, 10, 52 shrimps in there. Y'all probably never seen a shrimp before in your life.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Monday, June 16th, 2025. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis.
Transaction fans, this one's for you.
Next to him, it's the bearded one. Shirts back on. Boo. It's Trey Kirby.
Hey,
yo. And over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is, JD. Stick with you for a second. Things sound a little different to me.
Yeah.
I know we have a lot of new technology over at your desk.
Is it freaking you out?
A little bit. It
Yeah.
sounds like I'm scuba diving.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll get used to
Feels
it.
good to everybody else. though,
Hopefully, yeah, drop a like if it sounds better. I've been working on this for the last 10 hours straight.
So what do we got? Talk it through.
Oh, we got a new Roadcaster 2 Pro
Sweet.
2 something or other. I don't know, but yeah.
What do you mean you don't know? Didn't you just buy it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say that because you had a long weekend putting it together, troubleshooting.
There's always something, Skeets.
Okay.
There's always something.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Fascinating. It's going to take me a while to get used to this, but
You know what it is? I think there's a slight delay, and I'm going to work on that.
okay, that's okay.
But
As long as the stream team are giving the thumbs up that we sound okay.
Paul says it sounds good.
Okay, perfect.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
And it's just up here. It's just up here in our cans. We can deal with that. Hello to everybody here on a Monday morning. Hit the like button, subscribe. Podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight. Excuse me, a pivotal Game 5.
Hey!
That series tied 2-2. That's a pivotal Game 5. We're going to discuss that one later because the Southern Lawyer paid us a visit this weekend. Good sir.
We got ourselves a trade.
Yeah, what a Father's Day treat for you guys. Yesterday, the Memphis Grizzlies trading Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and 1 first-round pick swap. I'll give you those actual picks. You got the 16th overall pick in this year's draft.
Easy.
That's going from Orlando to Memphis. Oh, yeah, you said that one was easy. Not this next one. A first-round pick in 2026. It's probably going to come from the Suns, but, you know, it's a convoluted pick.
Oh, boy.
Like, you'll do your head in trying to figure out how it could possibly be Washington's or Phoenix's at all. Okay, anyway, it's a 26 pick. And then the Magic's 28 and 30 unprotected first-round picks. And then the swap rights to a first-round pick in 29, which is top 2 protected. But anyway, Tass, that's a lot of draft capital going to the Memphis Grizzlies for Desmond Bane. I think we can start on the Magic side of things if you want to, and then pivot to the Memphis Grizzlies. But what was your first reaction when you saw the details and what this deal was?
Like everyone's seeing it, that's a lot of picks. That is a lot that they gave up. And we'll get into every single pick and what it means and what it is later because it's boring to start with that. That's for sure.
I just did.
We
I
just
thought.
did.
Well, no, we can get way deeper than that.
No, we don't need to.
Yo, we can.
No.
Yeah, I think 3 are pretty simple, and that one next year, that's the complicated one. Yeah, can't wait to talk about that. Anyway, it is definitely a lot of picks for Desmond Bane. It is exciting on the other side to see an Eastern Conference team throw some punches and go for it here.
Right.
Because I think this Magic team will be far better next year. They should be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference standings. They should be. Last year, they won 47 games when they were all healthy last season. You put in Desmond Bane, I still think this is going to be an incredible defensive team, and their offense is going to get way better. Imagine all the attention he is going to get playing with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. Those guys are going to get space, and that is going to help them. They're going to play so many dribble handoffs there at the elbows, and you got to just respect Desmond Bane and his numbers. He's a great on-ball creator. He probably did that a little too much, just like Jalen Suggs did a little too much of that in Orlando. So I could see him attacking tons of closeouts because you're going to have to give Banchero and Wagner lots of respect. I think this makes Jalen Suggs way better. all those stats and all that, we can break it down. But he is just an incredible 3-point shooter. While the Magic just stunk last year, they were the worst 3-point shooting team. They're the worst in a decade at 31.8%. This guy is far better. I think this team it gets better everywhere. It is definitely a worry that you give away every single one of your picks in terms of the Orlando Magic, how they get better around those 4 plus Wendell Carter Jr. That is a very good question because they got none essentially now. So that's the question. But I'm very excited to see them in an Eastern Conference where, you never know who could win.
And you say that because Tatum's injury to the Celtics maybe takes them down a peg. Obviously, Damian Lillard's injury with the Bucks.
Yep.
You've got good Pacers teams. You got good Knicks teams. You still have, in theory, a good Cavs team.
Yeah,
at
Pacers
least currently constructed.
Pacers, Knicks, Magic, and a Cavs. That's the scramble right there at the top.
Okay.
I gotta think. I think this will be a really, really good offense. I think they're gonna love having guys that you have to respect. Desmond Bane didn't have enough of that in Memphis, and now these guys playing together, and we'll get into that. But I am excited. Period.
Okay. What was your first reaction to this, TK?
A trade during the NBA Finals with players that we actually know? That was my first reaction. Like, there have been trades before. It was like the Thunder or the Nuggets trading a future pick for a late first-round pick. Not guys who actually matter to both teams. My second reaction was one of the greatest name-for-name trades of all time. Desmond Bane for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Those are like top 5 names in the NBA. Switching sides. There's 2 parts to it for everything, the basketball and the business. I think it's a great fit basketball-wise for the Magic. They're getting the 3-point shooting that they desperately need. They thought KCP was that guy. Clearly, he wasn't. I don't necessarily think that one shooter instantly fixes their shooting, but Bane helps. He's also a good secondary playmaker. He's also a good secondary ball handler. He cares on defense. Definitely an upgrade over KCP. I do think Orlando's going to have to get a lot more creative on offense. They still don't really have a point guard playmaker. Suggs isn't that kind of guy who gets in the lane and makes plays for other people. Paolo's a good playmaker. Franz is a good playmaker. Bane's a good playmaker. All these guys are wired to score. However, I don't want to see Bane just standing in the corner like he's KCP. That was one of the problems. They didn't know how to use him. I don't know if Jamal Mosley is the guy to unlock everybody, but he's going to help, at least on the offensive end. The question is the price that they paid. They had to pay a pick to get off the KCP contract. I think that's one of those that's thrown in there. Bane is a guy that does miss time. 13, 42, 24 games the last 3 seasons. This is a Magic team that was completely banged up last year, missing Paolo for a huge chunk of the season, Franz for a huge chunk of the season. Mo Wagner went out for the season. Suggs went out for the season. So adding another injury guy to injury guys, that's a little bit of a worry. They're losing some depth. I'm not necessarily worried about the picks they're giving up because more than likely Orlando's drafting 18 to 30 in the first round. Most of the time. Who knows? Injuries could happen. 20-30 could end up being a delicious pick for the Grizzlies. I'm more so worried about, like Tass is saying, this is the Magic team now. It's going to be Paolo, Franz, Suggs, and Desmond Bane. Locked in basically until 2029. Paolo's going to get paid next season. That's a very expensive team. In the second apron era, it kind of makes more sense to have 2 really highly paid players, not 4, especially when you trade all of your draft picks, which means you then can't acquire the guys around those 4. That's literally what was happening in Memphis.
Yeah.
Right. Suggs is a descending contract. It gets cheaper and cheaper, but
Paolo gets more and more expensive, though.
They're going to have 2
pricey.
guys on max deals after the 25-26 season. Then you said Suggs, $30 million, but I guess it does decrease. But Baines does make a ton of money. Between 37 million, and that only goes up to about 45 million over the next 4 years.
Come on, TV deal. Keep the salary cap raising for those. Yeah, and there's a big drop off after those 4. Wendell Carter Jr. is probably your center. They have Jonathan Isaac under contract for a good amount of time here as a backup. Other than that, they won't be able to get him through the draft, which is a thing that here with the second apron and how restricted it is, makes sense to be able to draft somebody for cheaper, especially guys are going to be sticking around in NCAA because of how much they get paid off the court now. So, that is the problem. There's no doubt about that. They paid a lot.
But it's a huge bet, obviously, on that 4 that you just said and then these other pieces and what they have there. We have an identity. We're a defensive-minded team, and we look at the East landscape, and we think there's a path there to be, like you said, Tass, man, I think they're laughing or they're loving it if they're top 3. It's like people are like, can you get even into that sort of top 4 and start winning playoff series because you are sort of committing yourself, at least for a year or 2, to this 4. And maybe they can, because you guys went through it. I mean, on paper, this is awesome. They're the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, and they had a guy that shoots 41% for his career from deep on a pretty good amount of shots. Like, it's like, on his career, it's like 6.5. He had that one year where Ja was out where he was like shooting like 9 threes per game. And that was his worst 3-point shooting percentage of his career. And that was still at 38%. So it makes sense. And then he doesn't your defense doesn't really fall off because of him. He's pretty good at, point of attack defense. He does bring a little playmaking. Like he's a damn good player. Everyone's like, oh, you trade all this for a non-all-star. Well, he's an all-star if he's in the Eastern Conference. At one point, he'll have made a crappy, dumb all-star game.
Maybe.
He would. Yeah. He's in the West. You're not going to make
20
it
points
the
per
guard.
game.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's very good. But they are just, wow, this is a roll of the dice, no doubt, which is exciting.
Totally, yeah. It's
they're
awesome
trying.
to see a team push all in.
Yeah.
And now it's a huge bet on Paolo getting a lot better. I think he kind of took a step back, actually, this season. He was awesome to start the year. When he came back a little out of sorts, I think they both had core muscle injuries, right? Him and Franz. But the efficiency was a little bit down, and that's why, to me, it's got to be some more interesting stuff going on offensively for the Magic. You're mentioning dribble handoffs. They didn't do that at all last season.
Yeah.
That was a big part of the offense for Minnesota or for Memphis. They completely switched things up, bringing in all the new assistants. Now, eventually that went poorly for the coaching staff, but they were a funky offense. It was kind of like we're moving around a lot and then just one-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. The Magic will do something similar, but I think they're just going to have to honestly hire an offensive coordinator, because I don't know that Jamal Mosley has big time plans on that end. They'll still be great defensively. They just need to see Paolo get better at being a playmaker, a more intuitive playmaker. He's still early in his career, so he's kind of making the first reads on stuff.
Yep.
Franz, I think, is a little bit better as a pick and roll guy, but if he's running the pick and roll, so Bane is just standing over there, then that's just the top 4. They're a super top-heavy team now. So now you have to hope Anthony Black is good.
Yeah.
You have to hope Tristan Da Silva is good.
Yeah.
Maybe Jet Howard turns into something. I think those are more iffy bets, because this could be a team that has 4 really good players and then 5 question marks from 5 to 10.
Yeah, I do like how they're betting on these 4 guys. They're trying to emulate a little bit what the Celtics did. It's a poor man's Celtics team when you get into your Tatum and Brown. They're not Tatum and Brown at
But
this
you're
point.
saying Paolo and Franz.
Yeah, Paolo and Franz
hope of them.
yeah, sure. And then, Suggs trying to emulate Drew Holiday and Derek White and now Bane. They're different types of guys, but I do think there will be plenty of catch and shoots opportunities for both those guys, both the Magic guards. Now, Jalen Suggs, he had a terrible season shooting the 3-ball with the guys out. He shot 31.4%. But with Banchero in there, those first 5 games, he was awesome. I mean, they were really good. First 5 games, he was 42% from 3. I know you're smiling, Trey, because he didn't shoot.
That was the D'Anthony Melton era in the NBA.
Why? Because I said D'Anthony Melton was
Yeah,
good?
he was also hooping the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah, but Jalen Suggs had a good year last year.
He did.
He
He's
almost
had
shot
a great season shooting the ball.
Yeah, so was that an anomaly where he shot almost 40% from 3? He was also 40.7% from 3 on catch and shoots last year. Like, the guy could play. This year, he only played 97 minutes with Franz and Banchero. Yeah. So the guy was awesome when they played together. So this is just assuming that they play together. And Jalen Suggs, if there's 3 guys running the offense, he can be the catch and shoot guy. And that's why he kind of emulates Derek White to me. Just be ready, man. Just be ready to fire. And last year, again, he shoots a lot. And they need him and Bane to shoot a lot.
Yeah.
So those 4 guys rotating it, the rest of them is definitely a question. But I got faith in those 4.
Right. I was making some comparisons, talking to the guys in the WhatsApp group and all that. Like, I do think it could go poorly. You hope it's not if you're a Magic fan, of course. And you're like, yeah, Bane is really good. He's maybe even underrated. Yeah, it took a lot of draft capital. But like Trey said, one of those picks was to get off one of the guys we're sending out in KCP, maybe even Cole Anthony, who I think is under contract for a couple years as well. Anyway, I wonder, though, if this could be similar to the Hawks trading for DeJounte Murray in the summer of 2022. Which did catch us by surprise, too, with the amount of picks that went out. That was 3 first-round picks and 1 pick swap. This one, obviously, 1 more. But there's some similarities between maybe those 2 guys. Not how they play, but like the age of DeJounte Murray at the time to Desmond Bane, sort of just hitting their prime. Both good, not great players. DeJounte had made 1 All-Star game, Bane 0. Both in the West, though, coming East. Both guys that have had struggles staying healthy, because DeJounte missed his rookie season. No, he missed about half his rookie season. Then he missed his entire 3rd season. Bane, Trey, you said it. He misses 25% of the games, a lot of times here over his 5-year career. He just has every injury known to man. like hips and groins and ankles and toes. Like he's done it all, it sort of feels like. And then the other similarity is the Hawks brought DeJounte Murray in to like solve their defense, like help with our defense. That didn't work. On the flip side,
Magic
Bane's
don't need
coming
that.
in. No, Bane's coming in, help with our offense. It's
Yeah.
the complete reverse.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much can one guy do? So like,
And
I think it's better though. Just my final point on that is like, this fit is better. Bane coming into Orlando
Yeah.
than DeJounte was ever coming into the Hawks. But again, same idea of like, look at where we are in the East. We think we're like a 500 team. We can sort of catapult ourselves up. Didn't work for Atlanta. They pivoted out of DeJounte Murray. I think it'll work better with Bane in Orlando, but you could see it going similar.
The Magic are just way better than the Hawks were.
Why? They weren't though. When the Hawks made that trade, they were a better team than the Magic were last year. Are you just going to blame it on injuries?
The Magic were a 47-win team.
Two years ago. Last year they weren't.
Last year, with 23-24. Yeah, Banchero, 23-24. They won 47 games.
Yeah.
So last year, yeah, Franz was hurt.
They were a 500 team.
They
Yeah.
didn't have obliques, man. Franz and Banchero both had oblique injuries. They didn't. Their top two
get it,
guys
but-
didn't play basketball. DeJounte Murray was brought in to solve everything on this team in Atlanta.
Yeah.
That obviously did not work. And I know we look at these draft picks, we say, whoa, that's a lot. You really can't tell until a few years later. I know it's boring to say that, but you really can't tell what they gave up until years later. Like the Rudy Gobert trade. It was also 4 monster picks. They just made 2 conference finals. Looks a lot better now than it did the day of. And so we
I'm team F them picks, but I'm also with these aprons. You do have to go back to like, this is 4 guys you're spending a ton on, and you better be damn well convinced that they're going to be like challenging for, an Eastern Conference title or even further, like the Knicks did when they made the crazy Bridges trade, where they at least gave a lot of draft capital and they're like, that's our guy that's going to help us get to the next level. No, he did.
They got to be good.
So
There's
that's
no
gonna happen
doubt.
for Orlando.
They have to be good. And just to get into the picks, so it's number 16 this year,
Yeah.
and then their own picks in 2028 and 2030 when they expect to be good. All these guys sign through, the next 3 seasons and then 5 seasons. So where are those picks going to be? You got to assume they're in the 20s, but who knows? Who knows at this point? Then the next year is the juicy one because it could be Orlando's. Again, it could be any pick in the draft, depending on where Orlando is, but it also could be Phoenix's with all these pick swaps. So it could be anywhere from 10 to 25 again. So it's different when you sit back and look at it after the fact. But right now, it looks like a lot of picks.
How would you then grade the Orlando side of things? Throw a trade grade on it for the Magic getting Desmond Bane with what they had to give up.
I think it's probably between a B and a B plus.
Okay.
So I don't know, like a 87.
That's good.
Yeah,
Strong.
87. It's good. Exactly. Like I like the fit with Bane. I don't think he takes anything away from the Magic.
Yeah.
And he's going to add stuff. He's going to add 3-point shooting. If Suggs picks up an injury for 10 games, he can be the main perimeter ball handler for the Magic, right? The question to me becomes just how are they going to get better in the future? Because this is their top 4. I love their top 4. I'm a Wendell Carter Jr. fan in general. Probably an area they could upgrade if they ever wanted to, but now it's going to be tough for them to upgrade. And what if their bench guys don't hit at all? Then they're really, really top heavy. And you're looking at the Knicks where you're like, wait a second, we got 6 guys we can play? That doesn't work out. How good are they going to be? Preseason, I thought the Magic were in the same tier as the Cavs and the Pacers. They both just had awesome seasons. I think they'll be good again next year, like Tass is saying. I think the Knicks will be good again next year, like Tass is saying. But I think Orlando probably slots in competing for number 4 with a Boston team that's missing Jason Tatum, but then we'll get him back. Milwaukee, I think, is a question mark. Detroit could get better.
Oh, yeah.
They've got ways to get better, and they just had a fun playoff run playing against the Knicks in the first round. So I think they're 4-6, which is a great spot for the Magic to be. If things hit right, maybe they make a conference finals. I think more than likely they'll probably win 1 playoff round kind of team, which is an improvement. But what is the ceiling after that is the question for me.
Yeah.
And that all comes down to how good does Paolo get? How good does Franz get?
Yeah, and then I would just add to that, I'm with you, like obviously you make this type of move, it's like we got to win playoff series now and start going further. And if you don't, then they'll have one more move, and that will be Jamal Mosley will be out, and a new coaching staff will come in and have a go at it. And like that's exactly what's going to happen if they don't have immediate success and obviously compete at the top of the East and win some playoff rounds. But okay, you give it a B, B plus. Where are you going? Same thing, or do you go A? You seem to like it more.
I do like it more. I do believe in a young Banchero at 22 and Franz still super young to go with Desmond Bane. And I do think Jalen Suggs is a far better player than DeAnthony Melton. I think he's got a lot of talent. And so I think their top 4 is real. Whether it depends on what they do this year. Like if they can win 55 games, which I think should be their ceiling, and I think that's a possibility, then it's definitely it's an A-. Right. It's an A. Right now it's a B+, but I do believe in their defense being great. Desmond Bane is a tough dude. 2 years ago, he's in LeBron's face in the playoffs. Like I don't think he is just going to fade away. I think he's going to be a very good player for this team. And they're going to ask a lot. They're going to ask a lot of him and Suggs to handle the ball. That's what they lacked going into the playoffs. They didn't have any ball handlers. Suggs was out. And so how will they react now to having a great Banchero as your number 1 guy, plus Franz growing? I think that they should play off each other really well.
Will 2025, 26 Magic, like the Desmond Bane Magic, will they be better than this year's Grizzlies team? 24-25 Grizzlies.
Great question.
They won 48 games in the Western Conference.
It's so funny you said that because I wrote in my notes, would the Grizzlies have kept their core together with their 3 guys, obviously now breaking it up, moving Bane, if they were in the East? Because remember we talked about like expansion coming, and that means some teams are going to be coming to the Eastern Conference, and the Grizzlies, when you look at on the map, hey, they could be one of those teams. It just made me laugh. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Probably not. They probably are like where you are in the Eastern Conference.
We'll take our chances.
Looks a lot juicier than where you are in the West. So yeah, who knows? We'll see. Let's hear from you out there. How do you grade it? What are your thoughts? Did the Magic get fleeced? That's a popular reaction to this with how many picks,
a lot of picks
they sent out. A lot of did the Magic make a reach going for Bane with this? Yeah.
He's got the
A lot
little
of Bane
T-Rex
short
arms.
arms jokes being flown around. So anyway, let's hear your thoughts. Let's pivot to the Grizzlies side, though. What do you think of them? And obviously we can get into grading their side of this, too.
Well, they had to change. They moved on from the Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant era. It's been together for a long time. Their defense got weaker this year. They weren't playing their type of ball. They weren't playing hard enough. So 48 wins is obviously it's a good number. But I do think it's smart in that they needed a new direction, even if they were in the Eastern Conference, to keep going forward with this same trio you've been going forward for a long time with. I think it makes sense.
Going forward with a long time, but the problem is like they haven't all been healthy at the same time for a good chunk of this too over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Right? They're 3 guys.
They're
in
3
John,
guys.
Bane, and Triple J. But I hear you. They pivoted here. They seem to have a lot more flexibility.
Yeah.
Like I know Windhorse is saying this is a rebuild trade for the Grizzlies. And I'm interested whether you agree with that or not. Or is this sort of like a pivot, sort of opening up the books here and what you're going to do with Triple J's extension and all that? But what do you think?
You think they're pivoting on a pivotal Game 5 kind
Maybe,
of day.
maybe.
Maybe it's so. I mean, definitely a downgrade to go from Bane to KCP. I don't even know how Cole Anthony's going to really factor in here. He's a good backup guard. So was Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah.
I think Cole Anthony could have ended up being traded, but you knew changes were coming for Memphis. They had the Jaren Jackson Jr. extension question hanging over them, and their GM postseason was basically like, we're not close to winning here in the Western Conference. So they decided we had our fun with the Jaren Jackson Jr. and Bane team. They won 1 playoff series over the course of those guys being together. There's a lot of circumstances there, but you see what happened in the playoffs. They got smoked in the first round against the Thunder, so they're not even close. I have to agree. I think this is smart, though, for the Grizzlies to get some more flexibility. We'll see what they end up doing. I think it's more likely that they keep Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant, and now they have some flexibility around those guys, not to mention all of these picks, which maybe they don't want to keep, and they can package those picks for a player who is an upgrade over now KCP. I guess they could go the blow up everything sort of route, but it seems unlikely to me just because they're the only team in their city. When you're the only team in your city, usually you try and be good because then people stay interested. They've also had a ton of success drafting guys in the mid-first round. So I think the Grizzlies are probably pretty confident that even if these picks are 18 to 30, like we can find a player. Guess who we found? Desmond Bane. He was the 30th draft pick. So I think this is smart from the Grizzlies to kind of see the writing on the wall. Like the team we had, it wasn't good enough. We tried firing Taylor Jenkins at the end of the season to give ourselves a little jolt in the arm. That didn't work out. Things had to change. It's the second apron era. Teams are going to get more and more bold saying goodbye to max players who aren't all-stars and all NBA guys, which obviously Desmond Bane isn't in the Western Conference. Maybe he gets in screaming distance in the Eastern Conference. But basically between Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja taking a step back, they've got 2 contracts on guys who are well paid, and Ja isn't looking like the best deal. So getting more flexibility, I think, is pretty smart for Memphis.
You agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I said that. They are more flexible. They've got picks. And so they've got 2 guys as their number 1 and number 2, but they needed a change up. So they need another wing, that's for sure. Jalen Wells probably go to your shooting guard spot. And they need a center to play with Jaren Jackson Jr., really.
Well, Zach Edey injured.
Edey out for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. If everybody was healthy, you're looking at John Morant, KCP, Jalen Wells, obviously Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey if he was there, and then you said Pippen, Cole Anthony, Gigi Jackson still there.
They got to re-sign Aldama.
Yes, Conchar is there. I think he'll be moved, actually. Clark may be coming back, Huff, and then maybe a country singer named Vince Williams Jr. I think is on the roster. But yeah, this is definitely this idea of like, we either use all this draft capital to try and get more high-end talent, or if ultimately this doesn't work, we can pivot and, you would move one of the other big pieces. But I'm with you, TK. I think this to me is like, they're not, one of those 2 guys is not going anywhere now. It's Ja and Triple J, and we'll build around them, new coaching staff, and maybe they want to implement a whole new style. Even they've talked about like, we want to be run and gun more with John Morant and stuff. So that is it. I think Hollinger said Memphis has maximized its available assets. The Grizzlies have 10 firsts and 3 swaps now in their war chest. So again, you can use that to retool potentially around John Morant and Jackson Jr. So how are you grading this one then from the Grizzlies side?
This one's an A- for me. I think what Memphis is doing is smart. They're going into a second era team build, basically saying we can't have 3 max guys. We can have 2 max guys and a whole bunch of players who are making middle contracts that are tradable, and they have picks they can attach to it if they want to do it. I kind of think, I thought the Grizzlies were a little undervalued coming into this season just because I was a John Morant, Jaren Jackson believer, also a Desmond Bane believer at the time. Ja took a step back, so obviously if he's going to be playing like he did last season, the Grizzlies are in trouble regardless. I think he'll stick around there. I think he can be better, but they absolutely need him to be better, and maybe playing underneath Thomas Isolo is the answer, right? Yeah. Like, clearly there was problems with Taylor Jenkins towards the end of the season. Apparently, Isolo just wants to be pick and roll, playing with John Morant. That's where John Morant is best, for sure. Jaren Jackson Jr. took a step forward. But I think this is ultimately a win-win trade. Like, it's funny because they're making opposite bets. Hollinger really nailed it at the Athletic. The Grizzlies are saying we need to get more flexible, and the Magic are saying we need to get more talent, which makes them less flexible. The Magic needed more talent. They needed shooting. That's why they got Bane. The Grizzlies needed more flexibility, and their team wasn't good enough, so they're taking a little bit of a step back, which is why I think like this is a win-win trade. Both sides are getting exactly what they want.
I totally agree. The flexibility is the important part here for the Grizzlies. I don't think you could just keep on going with the same thing over and over and over again. And now they have so many picks and so much space because contracts a lot of them are expiring after this year. You obviously have to sign Jaren Jackson Jr. That is inevitable. Right. They're going to sign him for a monster to go.
But they got
with
helped
John
out
Morant.
with that too, right? Him not making All NBA,
at
least save some money.
Going from 35% of the cap potentially to 30% of the cap.
Hey,
so yeah,
every percentage
saving
counts
some
right
bucks.
Now. This is going to be fascinating to see if or how this sets the tone for the trade market here for the rest of the summer. Again, a lot of comparisons, obviously, to the Mikal Bridges haul that the Knicks did with the Nets and all those draft picks, and maybe even you go back to the Rudy Gobert one. But do you have any take on what this does now for these potential other trades we see? Obviously, Kevin Durant, the biggest name that I know we'll get to in a second here.
My first thought was that it's going to be a lot harder to get these all-stars if you're trying to trade for a Kevin Durant, but I actually don't think that's true now that I've thought on it more. A, I don't think Giannis is going to get traded, so the biggest name is off the board. B, Kevin Durant is 37 years old with a contract waiting after next season. They got to sign him to an extension. It's not the same as getting Desmond Bane at 27 with 4 years under the contract, not to mention a team like the Magic probably have to overpay a little for the KCP fact and also for the trying to get guys in. They maybe are not the biggest free agency destination, though they were the biggest free agency destination circa 2000 when they were trying to get Tracy McGrady and Tim Duncan. Almost made it happen. Only got one of them. But I don't know. It's going to be different scenarios. Like Rudy Gobert got traded for 5 first-round picks. That didn't happen again until Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges didn't happen again until Desmond Bane just got traded here. So I think they're going to be different scenarios. It's just going to cost whatever it costs for Kevin Durant. Not 5, I don't think.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I don't think Orlando really is that free agency destination like it was in 2000. Like you said, Tracy McGrady leaving Toronto. Toronto's not seen that same way anymore. Tracy just didn't want to be there. It's unfortunate. Now people want to go there. The thing with Orlando, I wonder. We'll see. I feel like they made a good maneuver here to go for it and to try it out. While here with Memphis, it's a real. We can trade for whatever now. I mean, we have so many picks, so it's a good move on their end. They're the flexible ones, so they're waiting for a potential superstar to be available.
My only other note with the Magic, because we had talked about them as like a lot as a team that's got to make a move because they need a guard and they need some scoring and maybe even a point guard, which they didn't really get. Obviously, Bane sort of is a point guard shooting guard, but he's more of a shooting guard, I think. But we talked about the Blazers with Anthony Simons, right? That was a popular name. Kobe White with your Chicago Bulls came up a lot. Now both those guys, they're not as good at players as Desmond Bane, but they wouldn't cost as much to, in theory, I think, get them if you could. And then there was the one level that maybe is right around Bane, probably even higher, more of a point guard in the Cavs with Darius Garland. But feels like they were like, we're not doing that. Has the injury as well. I don't know if that came into play, but those were like three guys that sort of came to mind right away. I was like, well, they're not going to Orlando now. I wonder if they stay put or if they go somewhere else. I don't know if I'm missing any other potential trades we talked about at the time.
Trae Young.
Yep, true. From the Hawks to the Magic.
I mean, could they have gotten Drew Holiday, for a little bit less? Probably. Derek White probably would cost at least the same as Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if the Celtics would want to be trading with the Magic since they're theoretically going to be competing with each other. But that is one of the questions for Orlando is the opportunity cost of it, because now they can't make a move if anybody else comes available, right? Like they couldn't do their version of the Pascal Siakam trade where they're like, oh, that guy is perfect for our team. Let's kick in some late first round picks. And now we got him, sign him to an extension going forward. That's their choice, is Bane is their choice over everybody else in the league. And we'll see how it plays out for him.
All right, let's pivot to some other news here, sort of related maybe in some way to Bane being dealt to the Orlando Magic. According to Shams over the weekend, the Heat, Spurs, and Rockets are Kevin Durant's preferred trade destinations. People across the NBA have been made aware in recent days that those are the three teams KD would commit to with a long-term extension. Now, we talked at the end of last week, Tass, a lot about hypothetical KD trades. And those three teams that we just said, they were involved in the list that was 5, but KD's camp making it sound like we want one of these three. Now, not that the Suns have to play nice. They don't have to. But then again, I don't know why a team would want to trade for an unhappy Kevin Durant who doesn't want to sign there long term. So it gets a little complicated here, but what do you think?
Well, I was going through all the teams this past weekend and wondering if the Rockets want to give up their young core or part of their young core for Kevin Durant, who is turning 37. So I'm more inclined to say, no, they don't. I don't know about this Timberwolves trade, considering, they're on the second apron, so they can't combine salaries, aggregate salaries, as everyone is saying in the NBA media world. Makes it difficult. And I know him and Anthony Edwards get along, and they're buds, and Anthony Edwards loved watching Kevin Durant growing up. I don't know if they want to make that change. I will say the Miami Heat definitely makes a lot of sense. I could see them wanting Kevin Durant to be their number one offensive player, really. Him and Hero and Bam Adebayo. He loves the warm weather. It's a really good defense, and so he would improve their offense. He is to be their number one offensive player. And just going through the Rockets and going through the Timberwolves, what are teams willing to give up? Well, the Miami Heat may be the best package, really. That's what it comes down to, is what are teams willing to give up. And the Miami Heat may be giving it up, even though the names won't be spectacular. It'll be Wiggins, Jovic, and, a Duncan Robinson or whoever. But that's what it all comes down to, is do the Rockets want to give up their young players? Do the Timberwolves just want to tear it down again, back-to-back seasons after making 2 conference finals, and here the Miami Heat? So it kind of makes more sense to me that the Heat would give it a shot.
Well, the guys at The Athletic wrote, league sources say Durant prefers to play for the Spurs or the Rockets, but there are complicating factors with both of those negotiations that make the deal look unlikely. And then in that same article, they did sort of revisit what was rumored, back around the trade deadline, the idea of KD going to the Wolves, and they sort of rehashed that, how it is tough, and whether, this part is weird. It sounds like to me, KD's camp has told Shams, these are the teams. And I didn't say Minnesota when I said that. So it feels like I don't want to go up there. But again, Phoenix does not have to play nice with this. They can sort of trade him anywhere. It's not like he's Bradley Beal with the no trade clause. So
Exactly.
yeah, what do you think, TK?
That was one of my first takeaways, is that Kevin Durant doesn't want to pay taxes or live where it's cold. So maybe bad news for Toronto.
Yes.
But this is KD
it's
exerting
happening.
what little leverage he has. Everybody knows he's going to be traded between now and the draft, basically. Like you're saying, no trade clause. He has no say-so where he goes. So it's on Kevin Durant to basically talk to these teams, the Heat, the Spurs, and the Rockets, say, make your best pitch because I will come to your team. He's saying, put in Khalil Ware to the Heat. He's saying, don't be stingy with your picks or your young players to the Spurs and the Rockets because I will actually re-sign with your team rather than a team like the Timberwolves or another mystery team like maybe the Clippers, though they are a warm weather team, so perhaps they have a better chance of keeping him around. This is all he can do.
Yeah.
Really, to influence at all where he's going to go. But it's on the Suns to get the best deal they possibly can. And if that ends up being the Heat, the Spurs, or the Rockets, great. We'll see what they end up valuing the most. If it's players, maybe it's the Heat. Maybe Khalil Ware is like the best player they could get. I don't know. But if it's the Spurs and the Rockets, that's more like rebuild mode, right? And that's not necessarily what Matt Ishbia wants to do. But Kevin Durant's telling these three teams, I will make it worth your while if you trade for me.
Right.
Does it play out that way? I don't know, but at least he's saying I'll be around.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Ziller share a bunch of other wild card teams because a team can come out of nowhere in these weird things, and suddenly they're making a deal for him. He was wondering teams that are desperate. So Ziller said Kings, they could be desperate.
Yes.
Philadelphia might be desperate. Okay. Denver could be desperate. The Clippers, he listed them as a team that maybe is desperate. And then he said the Lakers are probably not desperate, but it sure would be interesting if they convinced themselves they were. So that made me laugh, Ziller's newsletter there. But this feels like it is going to happen. Like, be honest with me, when you saw the trade happens over the weekend on Sunday, did you think it was Kevin Durant got dealt? That was my immediate reaction until you're like, Desmond Bane. What? Is Durant going to the Grizzlies? Oh, no. Desmond Bane's going to the Magic. But, I mean, it just feels like it could happen at any minute here.
Yeah, it feels like the first time in a while where we're waiting for a trade to happen and it's going to happen. I don't know. Nothing really jumps out to me as a trade of a huge player that was destined to be traded over the next couple of weeks, and it sure feels like it's going to happen.
I mean, Anthony Davis, that one we were pretty sure he was
Harden.
But
being
Anthony
dealt.
Davis wore that's all folks for a while, like that.
Yeah, you're right. And he didn't get traded at the deadline. It was
Yeah.
during the summer. Harden's a good one, though. I mean, he quit playing for the Rockets and then got traded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Harden getting traded to the Sixers. Also, Harden getting traded to the Clippers. It's always the writing on the wall. He's very out
Yeah,
there. You know when he is going to get traded. Everybody's known this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen draft day.
Okay.
So we got another week of rumors.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, some of the plugged in people are saying it's happening sooner rather than later, and that's how long we got till then. What's that? 25th, 26th?
The draft is next Wednesday.
Okay. It's next. What? No, it's Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday.
It's back. It's Wednesday, Thursday.
Wow.
Fun now.
Oh, middle of the week. Okay. Well,
yeah, it was last year. Remember they televised
don't
day
remember.
2.
Second round. Televised second round is pretty hilarious.
That's
so silly.
Yeah. Is that going to happen again?
Yeah.
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 They're going to televise it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was on ESPN.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be on TV.
Yeah.
Will you be watching? Probably not, but they'll be doing day 2. Well, do you think it's gonna happen on draft day like him?
Sure.
I don't.
I'll accept.
I think it's gonna happen before.
Before, yeah.
Just because if there's going to, in theory, be picks included, and those teams are gonna maybe want those picks in advance to know where they're going. Or the Suns, I guess, in this instance, would want those picks in advance.
I want
But
Adam,
not that couldn't happen on draft night. And you've seen a lot of times, hey, you draft for us too.
I want Adam Silver announcing it. I want him coming up to the
Oh,
podium
we have a
announcing
trade.
it. Yeah.
Imagine he drops the Southern lawyer on us. That'd be amazing.
He's a East Coast lawyer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an actual lawyer.
Hey, we got a trade. Forget about it.
Forget about the 4th pick of the draft. We got a trade.
He should not allow a Kevin Durant trade to go down during the finals. Kevin Durant is too big of a name to be traded during the finals.
Desmond Bane was okay to you.
100%. Yes. If you say Desmond Bane and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope were traded and you're out at a pool, people are going to say, who?
If you say Kevin Durant's traded, people go, whoa.
What? Kevin Durant?
Aren't the finals on?
Yeah. But no, the finals aren't on. We didn't play on Father's Day for some reason.
Hey, game 5 tonight. It's
Yeah,
pivotal.
should have played last night.
Let's stick with the Rockets here. Some other news. Steven Adams will be returning to the Rockets for next season and beyond, as the vet center agreed to a new 3-year, $39 million contract extension over the weekend that'll keep him there in Houston and takes him off the free agent market. So it's a name that had come up when we were talking about top centers on the free agency market. You know, who's like, obviously the Lakers have wanted a center, a couple other teams. We talked about the Grizzlies maybe needing a center with the Edey injury. Steven Adams staying in Houston.
You're going to add a good price. 13 for 39, not a huge pay raise, actually, thinking about it, looking at his numbers, which were 12.6 this season. And I'm surprised at how young Steven Adams
Yes.
is.
I was waiting for that.
Right? Because it feels like we've been talking about him for a long time, because he came out of the draft and was pivotal for OKC immediately, basically. In 2013, he's only 32 coming up this year. So it's a good sign for 3 years. It feels like it, even though he missed a year because of injury, it feels like he'll be pretty tough.
This feels like his last deal, like in our heads, like he's like 37, 38. It feels like that to me. Like, oh man, good for him. Got his final payday here, but he's only 32.
Yeah.
He's still pretty good when he plays.
He played with Derek Fisher and Kendrick Perkins on the Thunder. That's how old this guy is, but also young.
Yeah.
He makes us very old. I thought Steven Adams was just a veteran leadership guy for the Rockets, coming off an injury. He didn't play very much to start the season at all, like 10 minutes per game, and then due to other injuries for the Rockets, people picking up various maladies, he kind of became important to them during the regular season. Then he was awesome in the playoffs against the Golden State Warriors, 23 offensive rebounds in 7 games. He had 17 points, 5 boards in that big Game 6 win against the Warriors. He still got it a little bit. Like, he's going to be able to offensive rebound. You know about that. That's guaranteed. You know he's going to be able to set screens. He's not going to get smaller as he gets older. And, maybe he's not doing much by the time he's 35 years old at the end of this contract, but they'll value having him around as a good guy who makes everybody laugh and who understands the professional aspects of the game. So cool for Steven Adams.
Yeah, and you're right about, like, the Rockets were just better when he was on the floor. Started when he was in the regular season, when he started to get more time, and then obviously it, like, translated in the playoffs against the Warriors. He was a plus 44 with the big Kiwi on the court there. And they were like a minus 44 when he wasn't out there. So, like, he's still good. He's still a positive player. And yeah, this is not a crazy contract. The 3 years, basically $40 million. So they make quick work on this deal. And now they have until June 29th to make a decision on Fred VanVleet and his $44.9 million team option. There's a mutual interest for a reunion between these guys, the player and the team. Sounds like VanVleet's going to stay there. Just wait to see what it'll be for. But they have until a little bit to make that decision. Some other news, the Knicks still looking for a coach. They are planning to meet with former Kings coach Mike Brown and former Grizzlies coach Taylor Jenkins this week for their head coaching job. As of now, they are considered, those two, the leading candidates to replace Tom Thibodeau, who the Knicks fired on June 3rd, shortly after that first East Finals appearance in 25 years. And then they called every single employed coach and asked if they would be interested in coming to New York. Now, apparently, the Mavericks, Jason Kidd, and the Chicago Bulls, Billy Donovan, are two currently employed coaches that New York might circle back to in the coming weeks, is what I saw James Edwards III write.
Billy Donovan getting an extension, though.
Yes, this is the new breaking news. So
he's earned it.
Yeah.
He's earned it, man.
Yes,
He's earned it.
Unbelievable. What nude photos does he have of that front office or ownership? But anyway, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, your reaction to them being the front runners here?
Look, the Knicks are casting a wide net, and they just went to a bunch of places where it said no fishing first. So this is fine. I mean, they're going after guys who everybody assumed they would be talking to, kind of except for Michael Malone. I think is kind of interesting that maybe he's not in the mix here, but definitely a Tom Thibodeau analog, I would say.
Yeah.
There are pros to both. Mike Brown has been a successful defensive coach. When he was coaching LeBron James with the Cleveland Cavaliers, he was a successful offensive coach when he was coaching the Kings, though they never did anything besides win 3 first-round playoff games. He's more experienced as a coach, won titles with the Warriors, so he's got some credit, I believe. Taylor Jenkins, kind of the same. He's really good at experimenting with lineups. We know how many injuries the Grizzlies had over the past few seasons. They never took a step back when those guys went down, except for the year that everybody went down. The development of young players, I think, is something that Taylor Jenkins brings to the table as well. Desmond Bane got great, and that's not including guys like Aldama, Conchar, Scottie Pippen Jr., like who became real NBA players after kind of becoming scrap heap finds. I think that's something that the Knicks were missing out on. So you can see the two reasons that the Knicks would be interested in both of these guys. They're like, we got a veteran who's good and can maybe juice up our offense. He's well respected in Mike Brown. And we've got maybe a more experimental guy in Taylor Jenkins, who's able to do the things that Tibbs didn't in mixing with your lineups and getting the best out of your young players. So surely they'll end up hiring Rick Brunson, but it's nice that they're interviewing these guys too. I'm kidding. They're doing all right. They're the only team with an opening right now, so they can talk to whoever they want to.
Yeah. They're the only one looking for a coach right now.
That's a good point. And maybe that's why we're hearing about every single one. Also because it is New York and everybody wants to write about every single one, because have we heard this many coaches being interviewed by or pursued? I shouldn't use the word interviewed.
They were denied interview requests.
Yeah, but the Jason Kidd situation, that's not dead yet, in my opinion.
Right.
I think Jay Kidd has had a bit of a tough time this season, and he could want out.
And he could be using this as leverage for his next contract extension too.
Sure.
Is what some people think.
Sure. And he will probably enjoy the Knicks experience even more, even though it is New York. Because it's been a tough one for Jason Kidd. So that one's not dead.
The Mike Brown name obviously being included here makes sense. I could see it working. I think he'd be fun with the New York media for sure, because I think you have to remember with whoever does take this head coaching job, you're basically the voice piece for that franchise, because Leon Rose doesn't talk to anybody.
No, he doesn't.
He never does an interview, never does a press conference. So it's everything's going to be going through you. Mike Brown seems to have a pretty fun attitude with the media, or good
He's
relationships.
funny, yeah.
He is funny.
Yep.
I'm not saying that's why you're picking him, but he's a good coach too.
He's got the
but-
best jokes. That would be high on my list of qualifications. Just keeping the mood light around here.
I'm reminded of Leon Rose never talks here. So
Still hasn't talked after firing Tibbs.
no. I guess he's wow, anything I say is just going to be flipped around and pulled apart. So just don't say anything. It's a little odd though. All right, so we'll keep our eye on that. All right, let's get to Game 5 of the NBA Finals. That is tonight, pivotal game. We're back in OKC. Instead of going through things to watch for and X factors, we've done this and just drove it into the ground at this point, I thought it'd be fun to ask you guys, what's one stat so far through 4 games that you think best explains the NBA Finals and where we're at, or maybe where we're going here in this best of 3 now finals? TK, you want to get us started?
20-19.
Okay.
You know what it is?
No.
Clutch points scored this series. Indiana is up 1. Literally, Tyrese Halliburton's jumper in game 1 is the difference in this series.
Wow.
It would be 3-1 Thunder had Tyrese knocked that one down. Indiana is 6 of 15 from the field during clutch games here. Oklahoma City 5 for 13. And that's why Indiana is up 2-1 in these clutch games. You dig a little deeper, 4-1 offensive rebounding advantage for the Pacers in the clutch. Those are the two that Pascal Siakam grabbed in game 1 when the Thunder went small. That's how close this series has been between these two awesome teams. This is why we've had such a great series thus far. 2-2. Outside of game 2, every game has felt like it could go either way. The Pacers outplayed the Thunder in the clutch during the first two, or during games 1 and 3 in this series. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander took over 15 in the 4th in game 4. Couple that with the Thunder defense, and they were able to pull one out. If it gets down to the clutch again, Shai's going to have to be just as good as he was in game 4, because his game 1 and 3 performance left a little bit to be desired. Meanwhile, the Pacers feel so comfortable in these clutch games up until game 4. They feel no pressure, I'm sure, when they're down at any point. When it gets to be clutch time, 5 points, 5 minutes or less, they feel no fear, because they've been playing in those situations all season, or all season long, if we're being honest, at least since the start of January 1st. We got the Halliburton 4-point game winner. We got Obi Toppin going nuts. They've done it all year, and they've been 1 point better than the Thunder in the clutch so far, and that's why they have a chance to still win this series. They got to win one more game in Oklahoma City to pull it off, basically.
It's a good one. 20-19. What stat you going with?
Well, the Pacers have made 14 more threes than the Thunder. And it kind of reminds me of the 2023 NBA Finals when the Heat made 15 more threes than the Nuggets and still lost. And then, we turned to last year when the Celtics were splashing threes on the Mavs and won that series. But this feels like the Thunder could be that Nuggets team that doesn't need to hit threes all the time, but still come out victorious. As you said, Indiana's got to win one in OKC. I got this stat from Law Murray as well. For the 24th time here in NBA history, we have a 2-2 NBA Finals after both teams won and lost a game on each team's floor in 17 of the 23 previous series. The winner of Game 5 went on to win the championship.
Sounds like it's pivotal.
Oh, highly pivotal.
Dang.
Yeah, 17 of the 23. So, yeah, this is big.
My number I'm going to go with is 35 because that's how many free throw attempts Jalen Williams has had here in this series. And OKC has shot more free throws in total than Indiana, 125 to 102. So that's a 23 difference there between the two teams at the free throw line, which again was something we came in and thought maybe the Pacers will actually win that because that's something OKC, they don't, through the regular season, like they were low in those, and that's they give up a lot of free throws and they don't get there all that much outside of their main guy. SGA 36 free throws, but that's right in line with his averages. But what Jalen Williams is doing, that's impressive to me, and really keeping him in it in Game 4. We talked about that. Head down, go at the rim. 11 for 11 at the line. Tass, I think you said it was probably from Law Murray, who pointed out like this guy has never attempted, Jalen Williams, double digits free throw attempts in back-to-back games. He didn't do it in college, didn't do it in his pro career until games 3 and 4 of the finals. So
yeah.
I just think like Jalen Williams has taken on more of a play starter role as the finals has gone on here, and SGA has gone the opposite way. And it's obviously worked out, especially having a little left in the tank for Game 4. So I think that's going to continue here. And it's like they only have one Neesmith. And yeah, they're fine with Nembhard on SGA, but like Neesmith, we've talked about, can get in foul trouble, and especially when you put the pressure on him. So I'm just watching that in Game 5. That was one of my weird prop bets too. He is yet to hit the over. Jalen Williams, what was it? Wasn't it 30? I think it was 29.5. He had to hit 30 points in one of these games, which I thought he would. Maybe it's tonight or maybe it's one of these final 3 games, but he's been just like really good, slowly like getting going as the series went on. Everybody
loves talking about Shea, the free throw merchant, but Jalen Williams and Shea basically have the same free throws attempted this series at 36. Shea leads and Jalen Williams right behind him at 35. Yeah, he's been great. All
right, so Game 5 tonight. OKC, you think takes us at home? Just praying for another close one.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, I know. We just don't want that blowout.
Exactly.
That everyone's terrified is at one point coming. Just care for a close game. We're going to be back here tomorrow to talk about Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Appreciate you joining us. Hit the like button, subscribe, 5-star ratings and reviews. Until tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, how'd you guys enjoy your Happy Father's Day? You guys have fun?
It was happy.
It was happy.
Yeah. Did you do anything special? Or get anything done for you? Any gifts or cool?
Washed, dried, and folded 3 loads of laundry yesterday. Name another dad who did that.
Wow.
3 loads. real size loads too. Like big
real size loads.
Yeah. Not these petty ones.
Did you get up to anything?
I went to a supermercado and bought some delicious Mexican foods and then prepared them for my family.
Oh, look at all these guys doing
things.
Awesome.
It was awesome, yeah.
There you go. JD, what about yourself? I mean, you were just dealing with this board over here.
Yeah, just working. Doing dad stuff.
Yep. You're the dad of this podcast, so that makes
pretty
sense.
much, yeah.
All right. We will see you guys tomorrow. Brace the day.